All right, kiddo, you want to help? Here you go.
Okay.
Tell them about Jesse's, no, don't kick your feet. That shakes the camera. Tell them about Jesse's schooling.
Jessie been lying, and we are playing.
Yes. Good job. Anything else?
Yeah.
What else?
Daddy's working.
Daddy is working.
Okay.
All right, would you like to go play now?
No.
No, you still want to come here and help mommy?
Yeah.
All right.
I want to look.
Hello. I hope you all are staying safe and healthy. Right now we are at our old house back in West Virginia. The kids are here. I'll show you. Playing down there in the yard. And I figured I would take a few minutes to go ahead and talk about Jesse's schooling, why I had the opportunity to do so, and this gorgeous, gorgeous weather outside. I am absolutely loving it. Like, if we had to spend quarantine and every day was this nice, it would not be so bad, but it's supposed to rain the next 3 days. So we had to go ahead and get down here to West Virginia and get some stuff taken care of at the house while we could. But don't worry, we're still doing our social distancing. It's just us, we're not visiting anyone, we're not around anyone else, so rules still apply, we're still good. Yeah, I'm not gonna film this inside because there's no furniture inside, so it's very echoey, so I apologize that you're gonna hear some random noises out here and the kids playing on a lawnmower and a dog barking, but it's nice outside and it's pretty and I wanna be out here, so. So Jesse has been homeschooled for 2 full weeks now. Last week was really rough. This week went a little better. Last week his school set forth a very demanding schedule, I felt like. It started from 9 a.m. and went till 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon. They had set check-in times to be in each class, and if the child was not in the class or was doing something else on the computer, they would actually email us and let us know that your child is not doing XYZ and they're doing this instead. So it was pretty stressful trying to make their schedule work for our home. I am now, as of last week, unemployed. With the coronavirus, they have closed down my work. Alan's work, however, he's working from home, and he has been working from home for this full 2 weeks. But he is still expected to put in his 60 hours. It is nice, and we're grateful that he has the work from home option right now, so we're not having to go out around people. And it's definitely a lot more challenging to work from home where you have a bunch of distractions. Olivia and the dog are not exactly as understanding as to what a coronavirus is and why we're all stuck inside and why we're not paying attention to them 24/7. Other obligations are definitely getting in the way of us being able to sit down with Jesse the entire day and sit beside him and do his schoolwork. So with Jesse's school schedule, we stuck to it for the first week. It was definitely hard. Jesse kept checking into his classes and not understanding what they were wanting. He would complete what assignments were listed under his courses, but not every teacher was listing them all in the same spot, so that was a bit confusing. And then they were allowing an hour and a half for each subject, and it wasn't taking Jesse an hour and a half to complete all the assignments. Part of that was because of the fact that he wasn't really completing them properly. When it said like study your vocab words, he was just flipping through the cards and reading them one time. He's just like, I studied, I'm done. I'm like, no, that's not quite how studying works. And then he'd get frustrated because the only thing he was really taken away from it was my parents are making it harder for me to complete this assignment, that now it's taking longer for me to complete the assignment when I thought I was done. And so we were having quite a bit of difficulty with him not understanding the proper way of getting stuff done. That was causing a lot of struggles. There wasn't really a lot of crying. There was a little bit. Not gonna lie, there's a little bit, but not as much as I expected. It wasn't as bad as I expected. I honestly expected there to be a lot more crying than what there was. So I'm happy with that. But we were completely overwhelmed by the school schedule. At the end of the week, they sent out a survey asking what parents thought of it, and I completed the survey, and then I also sent a follow-up email saying, hey, like, this is why this is not working with us. This is becoming really hard. This is challenging for us to manage. Alan trying to get in his 60 hours a week, paying attention to a toddler, managing the household and getting stuff done, because there's, you know, obviously 3 times as much dishes, you know, and a lot of other stuff to keep up with at the house to make sure it's clean and everything, and that we're staying as safe as possible with trying to get grocery deliveries and that all taken care of. And it was hard to figure out, because you think, like, if Jesse's only in school from 9 to 3, it should leave plenty of hours in the day to be able to get other stuff done, but it doesn't. Like, you hear these times in your head and these hours, and you're like, I can do this, I can get this all done, and it just does not happen. It does not work out that way. Things go terribly wrong, and somebody eats something off the counter that they shouldn't have, and then you have to chase a dog down, and then you have a kid crying and screaming, and then you have Alan that's supposed to be getting on a conference call, and Olivia's over there yelling, I need you to wipe my tushy, because she's used his bathroom and still needs help with that. And then Jesse gets so easily distracted with his ADHD that any little minute thing that interrupts him completely throws him off, and it's really hard for him to get back on subject. One of the issues we had with his schooling last week was that they wanted him to, okay, if he has an hour and a half to do his math, once he's finished with his math, he can work on flashcards, or he can, you know, do his chores of unloading the dishwasher or taking the dog out and things like that. But that doesn't work for Jesse, because he can't go from schoolwork to housework mode back to schoolwork by 10:30 to get into his English class. It doesn't happen. It's not going to work. He cannot go switching back. It's hard for an adult to go from work mode to home mode to work mode to home mode, but expecting a child with autism and ADHD to be able to go back and forth between those two modes was absurd to us. It just really was. I think that the school was trying their best to give the kids a normal day close to their previous school schedule. And I think that they were also trying to give them a chance to do stuff at home and give them little breaks in between their classes. And I think that was the best thing that they knew to do. However, it was not working for us, and it was not working for Jesse. So I made a new schedule, and it took me an entire day to do that, to do an entire week's worth of schedule from 8 a.m. till 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. It did. It took me an entire day to get all that written up, sorted out to the best of my ability, what I thought Jesse would be most successful at, by giving him time and breaks that worked with our schedule, and for him to get the most amount of work done and the most important schoolwork done in the mornings when he is most attentive to getting that schoolwork done. Between all that, I also had to come up with other work for him to do. We had other things that we wanted him to complete, because we want him to be busy doing stuff that's going to be beneficial for him. He's behind on a lot of things. He's behind on his spelling and his reading and his math, just a tiny bit, but not much, but mostly reading and spelling and picking up on some basic things that he missed in elementary school. He's in 6th grade now, and he cannot name off all the states, and he confuses states and countries a lot. And like, if you say the name of the state, he's like, oh yeah, that country. I'm like, that's a state, not a country. Names of presidents, he's not really, I mean, he gets the major ones of, like, he knows Lincoln and Washington and those, but if you throw off somebody else, he's like, I have no idea who that is, or he had no idea that that was a president. since we have this time at home with him and we have more control over his schedule, we want to make sure he's kind of learning this basic information that he missed in elementary school. So within his schedule, 2 days a week, we have him focusing on just 3 spelling words. And I went through one of his papers that he wrote, and just some basic, like write, W-R-I-T-E, has trouble spelling that. 40 or something like that, he has trouble spelling that. And I know that those are kind of like common, I guess you'd say, misspelled words, but it's stuff that he does need to know. So I made index cards of 3 spelling words on each one for him to focus on 2 times a week. And I'm like, even if we do that for 3 or 4 weeks, like that is a couple dozen words that he at least knows how to spell that he didn't before. And for me, that's a win. Along with that, we have him working on his typing skills, which is a huge issue at the moment. He is pecking at the keyboard, he is not typing at all, and he is trying to figure out every way to get his work done as quickly as possible, which I get, don't get me wrong, I'm all about efficiency, but he's not doing it accurately. So his version of trying to complete the typing program that he has, because I did mention this to school that the typing was a concern, and they added a typing program to his computer so he can practice his typing. The problem is that if he thinks we're not paying attention, he'll just go, so it makes all sorts of errors, and he can just move on to the next lesson. Or he likes to just sit there, instead of trying to do the letters properly on the keyboard, he likes to just sit there and try to do this. So we cannot get a keyboard cover or a keyboard skin from Amazon right now because they have prioritized certain things over others, and it'll take a month before we can get an actual keyboard skin in to cover up his keyboard so he can't see the letters that he's typing. So I made him out of a box in my version of an old-fashioned keyboard cover, and so it has little legs on it, and the box sits over top of his keyboard so he can type, and he cannot see the letters, he cannot see his keyboard, he has to do it by feeling it. And when I learned keyboarding back in high school, that is how we did it. Jesse is not happy about this. He sees this as now he's not getting his perfect 5 stars in his typing course so he can move on to the next lesson. He's seeing it as now it's twice as hard and now it's slower. So we had to have a couple different conversations about keyboarding and why this is an important skill that he has to have and he has to develop. And those are things that we want him to work on at home right now. So, long story short, I'm gonna guess that we are not the only parents that emailed the school about the amount of work that and the way that it was being assigned and expected, because the following week they sent out an email saying this is the new expected schedule, which included 9 to noon Monday through Thursday as required classes. So English, math, social studies, science, and because most of middle school, high schoolers take Spanish, that is on there, but Jesse doesn't take Spanish, so we're using that as extra time for typing. We've made the new schedule and we've incorporated their English time, math time, social studies, and science time, but we've also incorporated time for him to be able to do his typing. We've incorporated time when he can watch documentaries or play dyslexia apps on a phone, and we've incorporated that in the afternoon during Olivia's nap time, and we need that. As parents, we need that break, that 2 hours in the afternoon after lunchtime where Olivia's napping and Jesse is doing something independently on his own, that he's not playing 50 questions with us. And it made a huge difference this past week. Oh my goodness, it was such a big difference to be able to have Jesse set up to where he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's expected to do, because the way we set it up was, this is your English time block, and instead of giving him an hour and a half like the school allows, we gave him 1 hour. And once he completes all of his assigned schoolwork assignments, he has a list of a couple things that he can work on. The first thing being those 3 spelling words. And then he also has that extra 30 minutes as reading time. So we have some National Geographic books, and so that's the ones that I gave him. He has 5 different ones, so he can choose which one he wants to read on that day. But he has it designated out of once he completes the school assignments, this is what he's expected to work on, and this is the order. One of our number one concerns during this time was his reading falling even further behind, because his reading was the absolute number one reason for our move. The number one reason for us to up and relocate our entire lives and to go to a new school was to help his reading. And as a parent, I would do anything for him, but I know from experience that me trying to teach him stuff does not usually go well. And I felt a little better about this once I had a girl I graduated high school with, who is currently a teacher. She said that she can teach 25 kids seamlessly, but she can't teach one son without both of them crying. I'm like, see, exactly. There's a huge difference between a teacher teaching their students in their classroom and a parent teaching their child at home. I am not the only one who understands that children are more likely to listen to other people than their parents. And that's the reality of it. I mean, should it be that way? No. Is that way it's been for generations upon generations? Yes. That's the way it is, whether we like it or not. Our kids don't want to listen to us as their parents. Our kids want to argue back and not participate the way they would in school. And I think the sooner that we accept that learning at home is entirely different than learning at school, and it has to be different, the easier this is going to be on everyone. Sorry, little rant there, but my point is that reading was a number one concern of ours, and I do not want him to get any further behind in his reading. So I spoke to the school and I asked them if there is any way his reading specialist can video chat with him for an hour or something a few times a week, so his reading does not get any further behind, because he needs to keep that up. And that needs to be his number one priority during this time of being homeschooled. They didn't even question it. They're like, of course we can make that work. And so we got it set up to where 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, for like 30 minutes, the reading specialist is video chatting with Jessie, and they're reading together and doing the same thing they would in school, except for they're doing it over the video. And that is a huge one for us. Like, I feel like his school working with us on that without question was 100% worth it. Like, they're really trying to do everything they can to make it as best as they can for the kids. And I know that really comes across, and I don't want you guys to think that I'm just like bashing them if they made this so hard last week, because that's not it. They were doing the best they could. They did what they thought was best, but it was hard. So challenging. And I think it was important for us to try it their way for the first week before we tried to implement this is what we want our schedule to be, because from learning from what we was and was not working for the first week and adjusting it the second week made it a lot easier. So it's okay to change your plans, and it's okay if your home schedule does not look exactly like the school schedule. It doesn't have to. Even though Jesse has autism and consistency is important, he knows he's not at school. He knows that there's a difference, and us adjusting his schedule to make it most efficient for him to learn at home was way more important than him having the exact same school schedule than he had at school. That's how it worked for Jesse, and that's the way it's working for us, so that's what we're doing. There's going to be no two students out there, or parents or families, that are going to have the exact same schedule and the exact same routine and lifestyle and it work for the two different people. I think it's very important for parents to be able to have a little bit of control over their child's education right now and the way that they're learning and what's actually going to work best for them. I think the biggest struggle I had the first week was seeing everybody's recommendations on what their children should and should not be doing. That was a huge struggle for me. Every parent was putting out their, we're doing this list and we have this schedule and this is what we're doing. And I think they're putting it out there for the right reasons. I think they're putting it out there because they spent a lot of time trying to put this together, that they're very proud of the schedule that they've made, and they think that it might be helpful for other people of, hey, you know, this works for us, maybe this might work for you too. I don't think anybody's doing it to be mean by any means or brag. I think, however, everyone else seeing it who isn't doing that then feels bad because they're not doing what so-and-so is doing. And I think that is a huge problem with social media right now. And I'm not gonna lie, at the beginning of last week, I had that issue. Beginning of last week, I was trying to get over being sick. I was trying to deal with this new quarantine lifestyle that we are trying to adjust to, and I was seeing all over social media what everyone else was doing with their kids. What? And I was seeing what everyone else was doing with their kids, and I'm like, I was feeling bad about myself for not doing what they were doing. And it's not good. That's not good for anyone. I felt that way for a couple of days on social media, seeing what everyone else was doing and what we were not doing. Because my first week, where we started off with me being sick and all of these new changes, was just survival mode. I'm like, if we can just survive right now, if we can just get through this week, it'll be fine. As long as the kids are healthy and fed, that is all that mattered to me. They're having a good old time. My point is that don't beat yourself up comparing yourself to other people. I think that if you have a schedule and that makes you happy, that's great. And if you don't have a schedule and you don't want one, or you don't want one right now, then that is okay too. I think I'm gonna go with, we had a neighbor one time that said, as long as the kids are happy and healthy, then you're doing a great job and nothing else matters. And I think that that is perfectly acceptable for most seasons in life, especially during a pandemic. So I hope you guys enjoy this video and that you got something out of it and that you guys are staying safe and healthy. Thank you guys so much for watching our videos, and we look forward to seeing you on our next video. Bye.